When we think of poverty, generally we look outside of ourselves, right? Categories outside of ourselves. We look at the homeless, we look at people in other countries, and we try to define poverty by that. It may surprise you to know that in the US, nearly 40 million people live in poverty. 40 million people live in poverty. Now, granted that the poverty threshold standards in the US might be different from the rest of the world. Listen to this, the 40 million does not include the homeless, because they're not counted. The 40 million does not include those that are in the military, and you know we have a lot of people in the military. And the 40 million does not include people that are incarcerated, and you know we have a high rate of incarceration in this country. So I suppose we can simply say we have a lot more people that are living in poverty than we even imagined. Any of you imagine that? Poverty has always been an issue in the world. And Mary and Joseph were amongst those that were poor too. They had their own threshold to decide who were poor. And once they decided that, when they came to present the offerings, they had an alternate offering for the poor. The law had said when the offering is presented at the temple, the burnt offering and the offering of forgiveness, the general rule was you needed a lamb without blemish and you needed a dove or a pigeon with it. And according to the Levitical law, if you were poor, you could present 2 turtle doves, and that would be okay, because there was allowances made for the poor. As you heard in the scripture today, Mary and Joseph came with 2 turtle doves. So they were poor, right? And I think from listening to the gospel narrative, it will be far from them to try to lie to the temple to say they are poor, even though they could afford the lamb. That's just the way the narrative puts them. So we're not trying to stretch this here. Now the fact that they were poor was made a lot of through church history. Some theologians talk of God's special place for the poor. If you heard this saying, the preferential option for the poor. You heard that? There was a time in church history where there was the rise of liberation theology and various theologies from the sidelines, as they were called, where this preferential option for the poor was elevated. In many cases, the 2 turtle doves were used as a point of reference. Theologians took this so far as to say that if you were poor, actually you were holy and you were sanctified and you were saved by your poverty. And these theologians challenged the church to say, if you were not on the side of the poor, then you yourselves are damned. To some it made sense at the time. I must confess, in my own theological training, and there's an Episcopal pastor sitting there from Canopy, welcome pastor. He will attest to that. There were times when we felt drawn to that too. Because mainline churches have, and as have always had, this soft spot for the poor. But we all know better that our poverty doesn't save us, right? That is the case. We'll all sell whatever we have and just become poor. We'll use the metrics of America in any case, and we won't be as poor. Even if we go and live in Africa, which is often what people do. They get the same salary as they get here, and you think they're living in poverty. But that's another topic. So that's an heresy. But it comes from identifying Jesus and his family as poor. On the other hand, those reacting to that, those that are affluent, have presented Jesus in a different way. Throughout history, the images of Jesus have changed. It's interesting that because we have a dominant culture in this world generally, the long-standing image of Jesus that has been tried and passed through the test of time is a powerful-looking person. Like I said 2 weeks ago, a well-groomed man with blue eyes and blonde hair. Somebody said he could have been part of ABBA, the Swedish group. He's presented as handsome and charismatic and someone that can be identified as a leader in the way the world looks at leaders. I remember when I came to Minneapolis for the first time and I didn't get a few calls having interviewed, one of my friends said to me, if you only had blonde hair. But he went further, he was a close friend, so he went further to say, if you only had a full head of hair. Let's face it, the Jesus that we see in images generally around the church, especially in the Lutheran church, the mainline churches, looks like he just came out of the salon. They just had a manicure and a pedicure. Especially when they say, look at his hands and feet, they have to show you his hands and feet. And he's all well groomed. Well, to be fair, seeing that it's Black History Month, even the affluent amongst the black community present a very polished Jesus. A very chiseled looking man, maybe even better looking than Idris Elba. You all know who's Idris Elba. You don't, okay? But he's considered to be one of the most handsome men in the world. 2 years ago. He changes all the time. They didn't meet William yet. So, he's presented as someone with well-groomed, maybe cornrows or dreadlocks. Neat, shiny skin, distinguishing looks. So, people have manipulated Jesus in so many different ways. Some focusing on his poverty, and others focusing on what they perceive to be his affluence. It's not important what image we use of Jesus. Let's just put that to bed. Because we could be sitting here for the whole day, and God forbid that we miss a great game today, this afternoon, the World Series. This is important. That we start by all recognizing our own poverty. I'm not talking about poverty in America. I'm talking about all of us recognizing not societal poverty, but our personal poverty. That we are poor. And you might say, well, Pastor, as a couple under 65, we make more than $1,200 a month, which is the poverty line, by the way, so we're not poor. That is if you are a couple under 65, $1,200. There's different metrics for different demographics. I'm not going to go through all of that. But there's only one demographic when it comes to God's threshold of poverty. It's found for us in the Beatitudes. It's found for us in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for they shall see God. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Those that understand that all our riches are poverty. Those that understand that all our knowledge is poverty. Those that understand that without Jesus we are poor in spite of all that we can boast of. Those that come to the point of saying, nothing in my hands I bring, simply to the cross I cling. There's a hymn that has those words. Those that come to the point of saying, just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, O Lamb of God, I come. That is the poverty that you and I have to come to. That is our two turtle doves. That is what we present before God. And listen, the metaphor changes here. When we do that, the Lamb is given to us. The Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. The Lamb of God who has given his life willingly so that you and I might live. That's the poverty we need to strive for. That's the poverty we need to be committed to. The Holy Family, as it's often called, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, followed the directive of God. Two turtle doves. While God was preparing the Lamb, the Son of God, the Lamb, they were following the scriptures according to the Levitical law, defining themselves by the scriptures as poor. And they lived their lives following the scriptures. When we define ourselves as poor in spirit, when we live according to the scriptures, when we do all in our power to be obedient to the scriptures, our two turtle doves, our feeble sacrifice of obedience, our acknowledging our poverty of spirit, will give us God's gift of abundant life, Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God.